where they were given powers to create leases, which now they have converted into freeholds, private titles owned by particular individuals, security investors, and whatnot. That was the beginning of degradation of the environment. When Uganda Land Commission arrogated themselves those powers, their sister agencies, the district land boards, also arrogated themselves similar powers. At least for them, they were given some latitude to own and allocate land. But there is a caveat. Land which is not owned by anybody or agency or authority or government. Which kind of land is that? Heavens knows. But at least they were given that mandate. The district land boards. I am here. I've been at Kampala Capital Store Project since 20 years ago. And even before then, I was a leader. You were aware I was a member of parliament.
And even before that, people were in Kampala.
Exactly.
In Kampala were also.
Exactly. We knew each other.
Yeah.
We were close associates. But we had running battles. We have had running battles over those issues, creating land titles in wetlands and alienating even all these reserved places. There is backfilling of Lake Victoria. It's unabated, I'm telling you. The level at which we are having backfilling, it is too much on all the shores of Lake Victoria. All the forests countrywide. The forest cover. Can you imagine Uganda at independence? We had the total land mass 241,000 square kilometers of land. But 75,000 was either forest or forest reserves. To be exact, 45, around 50 something was for forest cover. And then you have a reserve of 15 and so on and so forth. Over time, what has happened? Land grabbers have now alienated this land. Land bonanza everywhere. Chief culprit, the president himself.
Really?
Yes. He's doling out land. This what don't you know? Now we are talking about the NEMA forest. We had battles where I was arrested, Mabira Forest, with the Honorable Domot and others, and I had to go up to Luzira over Mabira demonstrations. Who was giving out that land? Who was given out to NEMA Forest?
It may not be
Sangobe.
It may not be directly the president. And there are people within government who have the vested powers to actually give out some of these lands. For instance,
sure you have not those executive orders?
For instance, we have had district land boards actually giving out.
Yeah, I'm saying yes, it's true. It's a fact.
So it may not be entirely the president.
Yeah, but it starts from the office of the president.
And here, even here in Kampala,
it cascades, it goes down.
Even here in Kampala, we have had in the past the district land board actually being implicated in giving away pieces of land, including those that are
huge chunks of land.
Yes, those that had greenery.
Exactly.
That was not the president.
All parks are now gone, including City Square. You can imagine. So that's how bad the situation is. That's the gravity of the matter. So whatever NEMA is doing right now is just a joke. It's just a scratch on the surface. It's a huge problem. Restoration of the environment has to be done deliberately. It has to be intentional. It has to have a systematic program, and it has to be done countrywide. And actually, it has to be a national program.
But it has to be a starting point.
No, a starting point can't be just a gamble. You don't just wake up, get graders, raise down some structures in the Lubigi corridors. That is more or less of grandstanding.
All right.
That is posturing.
Why do you think
at a very big cost?
Why do you think
Why
it's
I
a
think
gamble?
it's a gamble?
Mm.
There's no national policy on land use. You get it?
But we know very
And
well
the Constitution
we know-
commands the
we
government
know very
to
well
come
that-
up with a policy
Mm.
on land use.
Well, earlier
Forget
on-
about land ownership, because that is a challenge.
Mm.
The land tenure system is still problematic. But even land use, because government is mandated, of course you excuse government
Mm.
in as far as the land tenure ecosystem is concerned. It has always been problematic since colonial days.
But you
Right
see-
from the time we came up with the Uganda Agreement, all through independence, and the land reform decree of 1975, and all these reforms that have been pursued over the years, they have always been futile. I mean, a fiasco. But with the land use, I've told you, under Article 237, government was mandated to protect forests, forest reserves, wetlands, water bodies.
And what I want to tell you is just common sense. That you can't construct and reside in a wetland. Doesn't even require to be mentioned in the land use policy.
This is the point. No, it has to be in the land use policy.
So how? Well, can somebody just?
Land use policy has to be comprehensive.
Can you, the Lord Mayor Erias Lukwago, construct in a wetland for the sake of it?
Listen, I own a title. If I owned, I don't have one, but if I acquire the title in a wetland, I go to NEMA and seek for leave to have some structure built there. For heaven's sake.
NEMA gives you clearance?
NEMA gives me clearance. Like people who took over the Lugogo playgrounds. You mean they are not individuals, those who own Forest Mall?
Now, let's look at this Luigi eviction.
Why don't you want also to look at the Lugogo?
All right.
Yes.
I'll continue with that, but we're trying to match it with the Luigi.
Okay, fine.
Because you...
Now you are zeroing down on Lubigi.
Yes.
And this is one of the questions I posed to the ED. Why all the might? Why all the force against on Lubigi?
All right. We want to understand clearly whether you think these people had settled in Lubigi, followed the processes. We might be talking about the mall in Lugogo, we might be talking about all these other different places, and yet maybe NEMA did clear them. That's an entire story. Let's look at this incident in Lubigi. Have you seen any people complaining and saying, well, we need to be heard, we have rights here, we were cleared by NEMA or the district authorities to construct our houses in this place?
In the first place, you don't blame it on the individuals who are affected by these operations. The duty rests with NEMA. They have the obligation, first and foremost, of putting in place systems for land management. And there is a provision in the article, in this NEMA Act, which I have here. If you may permit me to read it out. The first culprit in section 158, you will tell me who it is, but for me, my duty is just to read it out. 158, I'm sorry I'm not getting it very fast. Yes, I am there. Section 158, failure to establish environmental management systems as the heading note. You would help me because I'm straining myself to read so much, at least for the listeners to understand. Yeah, if you could read it out.
Which particular
Section
area?
158.
Section 158. Any operator who fails to establish, maintain, and implement an environmental management system commits an offense and is liable on conviction to a fine not exceeding 50,000 currency points or imprisonment not exceeding 10 years or both.
The obligation starts with putting in place environmental management systems, failure of which you commit an offense.
Well, we have NEMA.
Exactly, the ED, they told him, they pointed out these provisions to him. He committed this offense. If you are talking about implementing the law, you start with the person who is supposed to put in place the systems. He's culpable, and that is the ED. Well, he gave an excuse. He's been in office for 2 years.
Where has he failed?
That he has assumed office. He assumed office on 2nd September 2022. Where he has failed, I'll point out those areas. The illegalities here now. Number one, NEMA is thin on ground. And the people ought to be sensitized about what is happening, what is going to happen. And they are supposed to be regulated. The framers of this law, that is Parliament, deemed it necessary and indeed imperative to have structures to help NEMA in executing this duty. That's the reason they inserted section 29. Section, if you read, rather section 26 of this law. Environmental management by urban district councils. Urban and district councils shall be responsible for the management of the environment and the natural resources under their jurisdiction. Do you understand that? This is in section 26. Who has the duty of managing environment in the city? The district urban council.
In this case, KCCA.
In this case, KCCA. They went ahead and provided for the creation of a committee under section 27, District Environment and the Natural Resources Committee. Every district shall establish a District Environment and the Natural Resources Committee, which shall comprise of the district chairperson, who is the road mayor, members of parliament. We have 9 constituencies, and 1 woman MP. The resident district commissioner, she's there. The secretary for environment, that is my minister for environment. District natural resources officers, that's our director, public health, who is Dr. Okero, you know him very well. Then the chief administrative officer, who is the ED, Madam Chisaka. The district engineer, our state engineer, you know him, Bwiase. The town clerks of the divisions, the mayors of all the 5 divisions, the district planner, who is the district, the one who is the director in charge of physical planning, and so on and so forth. Now, look at this actual position. And then the functions are laid out here. I don't have time to read out all the functions. But the long and short of it, in section 27, the mandate to manage environmental issues in Kampala is with this committee.
And you've been sitting on your job?
No way. And this is one of the issues we raised. The framers of the law put here subsection 2 of section 27. The members of the committee shall elect from amongst themselves a chairperson and vice chairperson of the committee. They never said that the road mayor shall chair the committee. If they had said so, I would take action. But in this case, they said we shall sit, and from amongst ourselves we elect a chairperson. Who should take the first step of constituting this committee is the returning officer. And that the returning officer is the one who is in charge, the overall supremo of environmental management in the country, responsible for management of environment in the country. That is the ED. So this is why I'm saying under section 158, he committed an offense by failing to put in place systems intended to manage environment in the country. You will ask him if we have any of the districts, we have close to 150 districts. If there is even a single committee, at NEMA they are saying they are thin. They have very few staff. Actually, when we met him today, they were recruiting staff. They were conducting interviews to recruit more staff. That they are only 130. They are understaffed. But the Lord made it very easy for them to create these committees as structures in the districts to help you execute this duty.
All right. Station 21 FM 90, Lord Mayor, let's go for a break right now. When we return, we'll try to understand why that committee is very important, or what relevance would it be in the situation where we are. But we also want to hear what you have agreed upon in the meeting that you had with the executive director, where you raised a number of issues concerning the ongoing evictions. Well, listeners, Station 21 FM 90, let's go for a break. When we return, we'll continue hearing the perspective